Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in your community with the village council, the township, various organizations that makes laws, regulations, and ordinance for you and affect you.
And it doesn't make any difference whether you live in the township of Oxford or Addison Township, village of Oxford, or village of Leonard. These are the people that you elected and the people that they appointed to commissions that make decisions that directly affect you.
Yes, and what you see is what you get, right?
Mostly.
Mostly. That's true, mostly. Sometimes it's not what you expect. You say, whoa, did I do that? No, it must have been the other guy, because I didn't vote for this guy.
Hey.
Okay, well, let's first of all talk about the Oxford Township Board of Trustees.
Wonderful.
They're always interesting, aren't they?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
They're headed up by Bill Dunn, aren't they?
Yeah, can you say Rover?
Rova?
Rover. Hello, Rover.
Well, that's that other pipeline.
It is the other pipeline, and that's one of the things that they were discussing at
It's a
this.
bigger pipeline.
It is, and it was a special meeting brought on by the Polar Activity Group, which is actually, I think they're located in Brandon, the president is.
Yeah, I understand that Rover gave them a bad case of gas.
Yeah, I think they did. It didn't originate, though, in Brandon. It originated elsewhere. But anyway, what POLAR stands for is Protect Our Land and Rights. And
It must be difficult coming up with those acronyms.
it is. Excuse me. So anyway, Jeff Axe, I believe, is the individual that is the president. And he spoke before this large group of people.
How large was it?
It was pretty large. It didn't, I mean, people weren't climbing out the windows or anything, but it was
Was it
pretty
one
good.
of these meetings where it was a single-purpose crowd that was there, and right after that got done, and they all walked?
I think actually both sides of the single-purpose crowd was there.
Oh, okay.
So some were for, some were against, which is the political way.
Did they all walk after that?
Well, they all left when the meeting was over, if that's what you
Well,
mean.
a lot of times they leave when their subject is covered.
Okay, but let's talk about these pipelines, and that's one of the reasons why this organization came into effect. It seems this gentleman over in Brandon, a few years back, purchased property, I believe 100 acres or so within that area, that he was looking for people to leave him alone. In other words, and what happened? Lo and behold,
Sound like-
popped up.
Greta Garbo, avant de alone.
No, she didn't pop up, but if she did,
Oh.
it could be a problem.
All right.
But anyway, the pipeline went through his property at that time.
That Enbridge?
Enbridge.
Was it Enbridge?
Yeah, Enbridge, I believe it
Okay.
was. And
He wasn't pleased.
No, he wasn't.
But that was an easement.
It is an easement, and it's an interesting thing that came out of this, that they have a kind of rights on what they call eminent domain.
Who?
These
Rover or Enbridge?
these pipeline companies that come in. Kenby Rover, who's a pipeline company also, and they're companies actually that don't really supply the oil as such, but they do provide the trunk for them,
Right.
being able to transport the oil or the gas.
And
or
just to
whatever
be precise, the Enbridge has oil coming from Canada down to refineries here, whereas the Rover has gas going up to Canada.
Actually, that's not right.
It isn't.
No,
So how wrong is it? May I ask?
it's really pretty wrong.
Well, then explain.
This particular pipeline comes out of the thumb area. The oil is pumped out of there. Gas is coming from there as well.
Are you sure?
Oh yes, I can give you a little history on this, according to this gentleman anyway. And the idea is to move this oil and gas
Well, it's only
through Ohio. I believe Indiana is one of them, but they go through Pennsylvania, and it ends up, I believe, in New Hampshire, and then cuts across to Canada. And
Yes.
and you'll be interested to know, and you'll be interested to know this.
What did I say?
Yeah,
It ends up in Canada.
but you can't take the oil from Canada, send it through, and then have it end up in Canada.
Well,
What's happening?
But that's the gas, not the oil.
But the flow is going through this line, and you'll be interested in knowing that 90% of it ends up in Canada, not in the United States.
Are we talking gas or are we talking oil here?
Yes. Both. They pump oil here and they pump gas. Where they're mostly pulling the gas out of the thumb area. And there is oil also being pumped into it. But yes,
Let's agree to disagree on interpretation.
Well, anyway, that is the fact. If you're looking at
Oh, it's a fact now. hit me with a fact.
Well, wait a minute
will
now.
you?
I like my facts much better than yours, as I have all these notes that kind of substantiate.
Oh, you have
But you know, we
notes.
do spread rumors here too, and I'm one of the offenders of that. So anyway, the problem is that a lot of these property owners, they have to give up their land rights for the oil lines to run through there.
Right.
And the way that they give it up is through, as you said, eminent domain.
Who declares eminent domain?
They do.
Who do?
The transfer companies, the ones that are doing the pipelines, they have the ability to do it through the agreement with the state of Michigan to do this.
Just
process.
willy-nilly, or has it all been
No,
pre-designated?
they have to plan everything out. It has to run through certain requirements, and it has to pass. I'm trying to think of the name of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has to approve it.
Oh,
And what has happened here is that Rover wanted to run their line alongside of the Enbridge line.
right. They were going to parallel it. Yeah.
Right, that's going through Addison Township and through Oxford
Mm-hmm.
Township and a good part of Oakland County, of course.
But I understand that through resistance, it got moved north.
It did. And the regulatory...
You look surprised.
No, I'm not surprised. The regulatory commission are the ones that really approved moving it north because after looking at all of the lakes that we have in this area and the water table that we have here, they're running across a lot of these multiple lakes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that there's roughly about one lake per every mile of distance in Oakland County. And so they said, this is not the place to run this line. What if it ruptures and that kind of thing? So anyway, so the regulatory commission agreed with that. And to the chagrin of
Chagrin.
to those shenanigans, they were moved to the north, which Lapeer is not very happy with that, of course, and the residents in that area.
Of course. Now their ox has been gored.
Right. And what they are doing, of course,
But we
is
got
that
it out of our backyard.
you got them. Well, not really. You still
Oh.
have Enbridge that is going through.
Well, it's not going through, it's gone through.
Well, it's still in the process, as you well know,
Well,
right?
that train
They're
is
still
pretty-
digging holes.
That train is pretty far down the
They're
tracks.
still running lines.
I know.
So, and you will be interested in knowing something that I'll bet you didn't know.
Pray
You know
tell.
who's on the board of directors for Enbridge?
Who?
Is the ex-governor, Jim
Which-
Blanchard.
Jim Blanchard.
Yep.
Ah.
And somebody that you would say, this individual said, should be watching out for Michigan. Instead, he's running pipelines through Michigan.
Well, he's no longer an elected official.
No. I guess he can run pipelines anytime he wants.
Right.
No.
It's that old
According to
it's that
citizens,
old
anyway.
rotating door of government to business.
It is, yeah. Let me see what else went on there. Oh, by the way, that pipeline that they purchased, the one that was running north and south, there was a line.
Which one? Are we talking Enbridge or are we
We're talking about Enbridge owned it originally. They built the line, and then they asked for the state of Michigan to
allow them to build another one
allow them to not have that one.
because it had deteriorated?
No, it didn't deteriorate. It's brand new.
No, wait a minute. Okay.
In other words, vacate from that particular line, and they did just that
Oh.
with the opposition of the governor. And interesting enough, after they vacated it and started working on this line, this individual, the president, said it was sold to DTE Energy, that line. And there's more to come, and I can tell you more
Oh.
after we come back after this.
See you then.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we've been digging holes and running pipelines.
Oh boy.
So anyway,
Hither, tither, and yon.
yes, and there's quite a history that goes on with these pipelines that they want to run through, and through the Oakland County. It's still going to hit, even though it's going through Lapeer, the pipeline.
They have no lakes up there, do they?
They do have lakes
No,
up
I know
there.
they do.
And anyway, Rover is, it looks like that's the direction they're going, but they will have to still get approval once this is all done with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission.
No one is saying, Red Rover, won't you come over?
No, they're saying, please go by. But one of the rules of thumb that they use, is that they must meet public necessity test.
But the public necessity is pretty global. It's national rather than local.
Think so?
Yes.
Okay, well, they don't run pipelines underwater
But
overseas.
You know what I mean.
Yes, I do know what you mean. But maybe the folks out there don't know. But now is a good time to spread a rumor.
Oh,
They
okey-dokey.
do have a pipeline that runs under the Pacific Ocean. No, I don't think they do. Anyway, they could.
They're thinking about a gas pipeline under the Arctic Ocean, but got
Oh.
this problem called icebergs up there.
Well,
That
you
could
only
damage them.
well, there are only polar bears up there, pretty
I
much.
see, well.
But polar bears, they're starting to disappear too because their little ice floes are just. That's a different subject, right?
I suppose.
Okay. Anyway, so the question is, the old pipeline that runs alongside the Enbridge new line that they're running is called Old 6B line, and so
Is that still functional?
it could be, but right now it's not being used. But the rumor mill has it. Get this rumor, is that DTE will be purchasing that line from Enbridge as part
Oh.
of their system,
DTE.
or a company called Nexus, Nexus.
Oh.
So
Is that an American company or a Canadian company?
yes.
Well done. Well done.
It's actually a combination of several companies, from my understanding.
Always tell a politician.
Yeah, you got one sitting next to me here. Anyway, so anyway, that's pretty much with what went on with the Oxford Township trustees meeting. It was no real regular business conducted. It was just an informative thing. I think people left that meeting with quite a bit of knowledge that they weren't aware of before. And you too can get that information by going out to OCCTV.org and clicking on programs, and you'll see the meeting displayed out there, and you'll be able to watch the whole thing in its entirety,
Right.
minus rumors.
But at the next meeting, which will be held on September 10th, there's some noxious weed ordinance is going to be on that. Again,
No,
yes,
no.
they're going to dip it in and wring it out. And some solicitation ordinance amendments going to be there too. So if your property or your interest is affected by that, show up at the meeting.
Well, let's run away from that subject right now, and let's go into the Pollyant Trail subject.
Oh, good.
Speaking of people
Pollyant
running.
Trail.
Right. Pollyant Trail, they had a meeting August 20th. Tom McDonald is the,
Mike McDonald.
or I'm sorry, I said Tom.
Yes,
Mike.
you did.
It is Mike. We'll change his name. Another rumor. He's changing his name to Mike. It used to be Tom. Okay. No offense, I hope.
We have that power,
maybe
you
Tom
know.
is his brother. Does he have a brother?
I hope so.
Anyway, so he's the chair and runs the program pretty well in the council. They handle the bills.
He's also the chairman at Village of Leonard.
He is. Yep. Very active politically for a number of years.
Right.
Does a great job there too.
Yes, he does.
He just wants to keep an eye on Pollyant Trail. that's
which
'cause
which
you-
sort of starts in his community.
Yeah.
Oh, it
He-
depends if you pick which end is the start and which end is the end.
Yeah, well, he's probably heard a rumor that you run the trail now, but
Oh,
they're only chipmunks. Anyway, provided by the township, they get all the bills, which they have to review. And for the months of July and August, they had a little over $4,000 in bills, what
Okay.
leaves them approximately $73,000 remaining in their little general fund.
That'll
So-
get them over hard times.
Yeah, they're still doing pretty well. Then they talked about new business. There's a resume that was submitted by Kevin Green, and a local resident. And
For what?
well, he's going to work with the trail manager
Oh,
on the trails, along with other employees, either volunteer or hired employees, to keep it nice and shipshape. He's been an active individual, I guess, on this trail for some time, and he runs the trail quite often, so he knows it. So nice
this-
guy to have on there.
and just to give you a scope of this, the trail, as it's defined right now, goes from Leonard all the way down to Lake Orion.
Right.
or Orion Township in any case.
Yeah. And eventually, I understand that this is going to connect with other trails around the state.
Oh yeah, and I think the immediate one that they'd like to connect with is the Paint Creek Trail, which goes all the way to Rochester.
Yeah. So you'll be able to either run it, ride it on a bike, and I believe horses, they have horse trails too, but I'm not sure.
Parts of it are equestrian
Yeah.
friendly,
Right. So,
especially in Leonard.
right. So you can bring your critter to some of them, but not all of them. So you want to check on that.
And no motorized vehicles.
No motorized vehicles, other than the park people.
Not even it's a motorized horse. You can't have it.
I think the Pollyant Trail people do, and the lawnmower guy. He has a motor on
Well,
his. So, anyway, that's a lot
some
of
people
lawn to
get a
mow
pass.
too, by the way. Schedule of events. Let me see. They had a 5-year request that came forward. People that I think it's part of the cancer organization, that they wanted a date set up for the Pollyant Trail that they could have programs run, and they want the second Saturday for I think for the next 5 years
in what month?
in September, established.
Okay.
And they chit-chatted about that a little bit, back and forth, as to, 5 years is quite a while, but, should we approve this for maybe a lesser time, 3 years? And so they talked about that for a while, and then they approved 5 years, but with the endorsement of the council, but they have to apply for this in next year within 90 days.
So would that give them exclusive use of the trail at that time, or could other people wanting to use the trail also participate
No, it would be
in their
exclusive.
own activity?
Their activity would be exclusive for that day if they make it announced within 90 days, I believe it is, of prior to this function.
So they're locking down these dates, but they're not actually locking them down for themselves.
No, because what happens is, okay, we're going to have this particular program, and nobody shows up. Nobody signs up for it.
Registers, right.
Yeah, nobody registers. Nobody signs up for it.
Okay.
So within 90 days, they need to alert, this console, Pollyant Trail console, that, they won't be doing it. Otherwise, they are penciled in for that for the next 5 years. That's the way it works. What do you think of that?
Moving on.
Okay. Trail manager's report was the next thing. There was a lady, a resident of Lake Orion, that her husband passed away. Apparently he died in Texas, is the story I get. And I think it was through a situation of crime that caused him to pass away. I didn't get the whole story on it, but I think it was drug related, something along that
And
line.
I wait with bated breath for the tie-in to the
Yeah,
Pollyant Trail.
right. So anyway, we give that. And in his remembrance, she would like to have a bench put on Pollyant Trail with a plaque recognizing her husband. Nice gesture. And in order to do this, she has donated $1,000 to the Pollyant Trail. So part of the discussion that they were having is there a format for these benches that we might put on the trail? And if so, we need to pull that out and find out exactly what is required, if it's going to be cemented in, if it's going to be metal or whatever.
Are there other benches?
There apparently are some other benches that were put in a few years ago or years back, but this will be a new one, and they want that to conform with whatever
Right.
they do, which makes sense.
Sure.
You know what? Makes sense. We'll be back right after this. Hello, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles.
Together, Terry and I host the weekly news Monday through Friday at 12, 6, and 11 p.m.
Broadcast on Charter Channel 191 and AT&T UVerse 99, we only cover news that impacts our local Addison and Oxford area. In other words, by all accounts, news that would normally not receive from any other televised source.
But chances are, if it's local, it will be found on Oxford Community Television and OCTV.
For the weekly news, I'm Terry Stiles.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Together, we invite you to join Terry and me for our next OCTV weekly news program.
Hi, this is Connie again from Connie's Kitchen, coming to you from Treetop Lodge, the place where magic happens and unicorns roam freely. Of course, you have to come to the lodge to understand about the unicorn thing, but they're everywhere. We'll be doing a wide variety of cooking shows here on Oxford Community Television, And I personally would like to thank the crew for coming out and giving me this opportunity to share my passion and what I love to do with you from Connie's Kitchen. So please join us on OCTV, join us at the Lodge, and look for us all over the town. And if you see unicorns, they probably came from here. See you soon.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Polly Ann Trail and benches. We talked about ladies' money that she's put forward, for a $1,000 donation. And of course, that was accepted. One other thing that came up was a fundraiser that Pat, the trail manager, suggested. It's called Zombie Run.
What?
Zombie Run.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of it?
I've heard of zombie this and that. I actually got caught up in one in Windsor.
Yeah. Were you the zombie?
Wasn't
or?
planning on it, but we were surrounded by zombies. But they
Oh.
were doing a really nice thing. They had a big, if you wanted to be a zombie, you had to contribute food to a food facility there, and that was very nice. Very friendly zombies, by the way.
Well, I can't guarantee these are going to be friendly zombies, but I think they probably will. It's from Oxford. It's going to be it's going to be in Lake Orion on October 24th is a proposal. And they have a certain starting point and things like that, but all the details haven't been run to exhaustion yet. Speaking about runners, they're going to have roughly about 200 spots, I think, open
Wow.
that people can register for.
Do they have to run regular, or do they have to kind of lope along?
No, they're going to have zombies.
I mean, they're zombies. I mean, after all.
Yeah, zombies are, no, they're not the zombies. The zombies are going to be the ones that are lurking behind them, encourage them to run faster. That's what consequently called the zombie run.
I see. And all you have to be is just a little bit faster than your buddy.
Yeah, what you want to do is select somebody as your buddy that's kind of stocky, a little overweight maybe, preferably. Can't run really fast. That's what you do, right?
And the zombies will like it.
All right.
Makes it easier for the zombie.
Okay, so it looks like that's going to be a go. Everybody was enthusiastic about it. They thought that was a great idea. So it more likely will take place. One thing I want to talk about too is the township's requirement to need help during the next election. They would like you to vote yes for the November 4th election for 3.9152 mills, which is almost 4 mills. The reason, of course, for that is that you can't eliminate that millage. It's a necessity, otherwise you won't have a police force in that area, and that just can't happen. So they're very serious about the fact that you need to look at this as a resident and as a citizen. And they want you to please continue through 2019 the 1 5-year millage program that they've
And
got
this
coming
to
up.
support the Oakland County Sheriff's Station that's resident in Oxford Township.
Absolutely. As an example, they have Oakland County average officers per 1,000 of population is 1.86. Now, don't ask me how you get a
Is that a good
0.86
ratio?
person.
Or is that a good ratio or a bad ratio, sir?
Yeah, well, it's supposedly a pretty good ratio.
All right.
Compared to Oxford, the ratio is 0.88. So we're way behind in terms of citizen,
I
So
know
they
what
need-
road you're going down.
Yeah, they need help. They need help.
It's one of your favorite roads.
Yeah. Next time you need a police officer and
Are there any other millages being proposed?
oh yeah, there is. There's one for fire department also, which is another critical issue. So you folks need to really look at these in detail. It's for your public safety. And I would say that if you vote against the police department or the fire department, good luck on that next fire call or that next police call you make. I would not want to be the person saying, hey, there's nobody there. Anybody else back there? No, I don't think so. What do you think?
I think you're running for office.
No, I am not. I am not running for office, and that is a guarantee. I also want to find out what is coming up.
Well, we do have some meetings. On 9/10 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Board of Trustees show up. And also on 9/10 at 6:30, the Oxford Board of Education is going to be held at the district offices in downtown Oxford. And on 9/11 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Planning Commission will meet as well on that date at 7:30, the Addison Township Zoning Board of Appeals. On 9/15 at 7:30, the Addison Township Board of Trustees. And at 6 o'clock that same day, the Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority. And on 9/16, at 7 o'clock, the Addison Township Public Library will be meeting And at 7, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission. Well, we've got a lot of meetings.
We do.
Show up to the one that interests you.
Yeah. And I just want to recap also here rather quickly the Oxford Village Council meeting that they had, and it was all concerning the Edison Alley situation. And there's, as you know, a number of changes have been made, to the original architectural layout and drawing for that in the plan.
That's called running up the costs.
Well, actually, the cost is actually going to decrease by about
Oh.
$80,000 by doing this. The street
Unheard of.
that's the latest news we have anyway. We'll have to wait and see. But the street originally was going to be in the Edison Alley, run behind the Lutheran Church and behind the businesses, was going to be 27 27 feet wide.
For the munchkins.
There'd be a room. yeah, the little leprechauns, they have to run the street occasionally once a year. No, 27 feet wide, and now it's going to be 24 feet. So that's going to save some in cost. And the people that live along that particular street also are going to lose the bike path that was going to go in there originally, because there really is no place for that bike path to go anymore.
One of
Because-
these days, we'll bring a map in here so you'll know what the heck he's talking about.
Yeah, actually, you can get the information too by going to the Oxford Leader newspaper, and they have a map there. And if you check in the background, in the history, news items that they've run, you should be able to pull it off, and there'll be a map in there,
Even the changes.
even the changes in there. They of course have eliminated the one-way street coming from M24 into the alley, so that's gone. It's going to be a dead-end street, this particular street now, with a T turnabout on the end, or a Y turnabout, because it looks more like a Y than a T. So those changes were approved by the Planning Commission and forwarded to the Village Council, who looked it over and they said, hey, Planning Commission, they kind of look like they know what they're doing. We'll let them go ahead with this.
Hope
It
so.
sounds
You
good.
guys appointed him.
We did, yeah. So anyway, so that's what's happening on the Edison Alley. They did approve also a contractor to start moving on the actual construction. And they've going to have to do that. They had to do that quickly. They had to do that quickly because we want to beat the frost, coming in, and the snow and the blizzards and all this thing that we hear that weather people are projecting, for this winter.
By the way, it's 2:30. We're supposed to be in a storm right now.
Well, it's still almost summer. I mean, summer is over, as you all know, but they tell us that it's going to be warmer this fall, probably than it was last summer.
They've never been wrong.
Yeah,
They
right.
have never been wrong.
Is that another rumor you want to spread?
We've never been able to find them to get them though, to validate that.
Okay, so that's another rumor we want to spread. The weather people have never been wrong, and we will spread as many rumors as we can on this show.
Absolutely.
Right. And I do want to say that, by the way, you got rid of all your chipmunks?
The chipmunks are happy. My property yesterday was a conflagration of people installing gas lines, wood chippers, root grinders, tree climbers. It was a zoo yesterday at my place.
You live out in the country, don't you?
Yeah,
How's that working for you?
just wonderful. It's God's country, actually.
I understand. God's country. And speaking of God's country, we'll be back minutes by minute next time. Don't miss it.
You're watching OCTV, Oxford Community Television, serving Oxford, Addison Township, and the village of Leonard.
Hi, this is Connie again from Connie's Kitchen, coming to you from Treetop Lodge, the place where magic happens and unicorns roam freely. Of course, you have to come to the lodge to understand about the unicorn thing, but they're everywhere. We'll be doing a wide variety of cooking shows here on Oxford Community Television, and I personally would like to thank the crew for coming out and giving me this opportunity to share my passion and what I love to do with you from Connie's Kitchen. So please join us on OCTV, join us at the lodge, and look for us all over the town. And if you see unicorns, they probably came from here. See you soon.
You're watching OCTV, Oxford Community Television, serving Oxford, Addison Township, and the Village of Leonard.